The engine of Valavan's Royal Enfield Hunter 350 growled beneath him, its vibrations syncing with his own pulse. The streets of Chennai were anything but quiet. Distant explosions, the occasional screeching of metal, and the ominous hum of Skynet's machines filled the air. As he sped through the winding lanes trying to head towards his home, something felt off. The city's chaos had escalated, and the usual hustle and bustle had been replaced with sounds of destruction. The air was thick with the scent of smoke, and the once bustling streets were now strewn with debris. Valavan's mind remained sharp, focused on the road ahead. His eyes scanned the surrounding buildings, noting the damage, windows shattered, storefronts abandoned, and vehicles overturned. His thoughts were with his family, his parents and sister, and the uncertainty of whether they'd made it through the initial Skynet assault unscathed. As he rounded a corner, a faint buzzing sound reached his ears. His eyes immediately darted up, spotting two small tracker drones hovering in the distance. They had a red glow around their sensor pods, distinctive, unmissable. He knew what they were immediately. Valavan's grip tightened around the throttle, his mind racing. They had detected him. Skynet's machines had found him and they were closing in. He didn't hesitate. He sped up, taking a sharp left into another narrow alley, hoping the maze of streets would offer some cover. The sound of the drones buzzing grew louder, almost menacing as they pursued him. They weren't far behind. Glancing over his shoulder, Valavan saw one of the drones swerve to the right, as if trying to flank him. His heart pounded as he veered the bike sharply to the left, barely avoiding a lamppost. He couldn't let them corner him. He had to outsmart them, use the environment to his advantage. His eyes darted across the alleyways, landing on an old, half-destroyed building ahead. Its crumbling walls and broken windows provided a perfect opportunity for a quick escape. Valavan aimed for it, leaning into the turn as he sped toward the building. As he neared, he cut the throttle momentarily, forcing the bike to slow down just enough to squeeze between two large discarded metal objects blocking the alleyway. The tracker drones in pursuit followed his lead, but they were too large to fit through the narrow space between the obstacles. The lead drone hesitated for a split second, allowing Valavan to duck into another street. The second drone, however, continued its pursuit without hesitation, and it was fast. Valavan's mind raced. He needed to lose them. Now, he darted into another narrow side street, his bike screeching against the pavement as he expertly maneuvered around obstacles. He heard the whirring of the drones behind him close enough to touch. Finally, he spotted a small, abandoned warehouse ahead. It was his chance to trap them. He sped toward it, knowing full well it was a risk, but there was no other option. The first drone, faster and more agile, flew directly into the warehouse's open door. It didn't see the massive pile of rusted scrap metal stacked inside. It collided with the debris, its propellers struggling to maintain control. Valavan watched in satisfaction as the drone sputtered and exploded in a shower of sparks. He didn't slow down though. The second drone was still on his tail, relentless. He executed a sharp U-turn and sped toward the alley where he'd initially entered, hoping the drone would follow him into the same trap. But the drone didn't take the bait. Instead, it tried to cut him off, forcing him into another narrow street. Valavan's instincts kicked in, and with a sharp pull of the throttle, he swerved into a dead-end alley, narrowly avoiding a collision with a collapsed building. The drone, too slow to adjust, collided with the wall, sparks flying as it crashed to the ground, its lights flickering. Valavan exhaled a long breath, his heart racing. He hadn't been ready for this level of pursuit, but his quick thinking had kept him alive. For now the drones were down, but the war with Skynet had only just begun.